Hey everybody, I know I've got like builder's ADD. I have 8 million projects in the works, and you know, way before I even finish one, I'm moving on to start another or whatever. So yeah, I have the Stormblade still in the works. I hit a little snag, so you know, what do? I take a little break, I move on, I work on the Toroxes. I get the Toroxes almost done. I start working on something else as soon as I get an idea. Just before that, I recently finished this older all-resin Vulture. I don't think I ever put this one on video at all. I've got these guys almost done. We're in decal phase right now, which is actually my favorite part of doing any model. And I think I'm going to leave these ones relatively simple. What I want to do right now, though, again, just wild kind of hair up my ass. I had some ideas just in my head flashed about modifying Leman Russ. And basically my list is full for Russes. Like, I have no spaces right now for more tanks. I don't. But I really, really want to try some stuff out. Sort of converting and going wild on this. So I happen to have an extra kit lying around. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it, but you know, now kind of I am. It just sort of came to me. So I don't know how crazy I'm going to get with this, but basically I'm just going to let the camera go as I go through this. I've got some extra bits here from another kit still on sprues. I've got some spares from a Sentinel. I've got some accessories, like old school accessories. I've got this little baggie of accessories that I might use. I've even got some parts from a 1/35 scale T62 tank I'm going to use. We've got some plain old, you know, plastic strip that might come into it. And then I've got this big box of bits, all sorts of stuff left over from other builds that I might roll into this as well. It's basically, it's going to be a basic, you know, Russ. We're going to start with the basic shape, but we're just going to kind of let the imagination flow. Like I said, I have some rough ideas of what I'm looking for already. We'll just kind of go. And we'll see what we end up with. I don't want to go too crazy. I want it to look very different though. But I want it to be something that if I wanted to play in a game, I mean, obviously if it's like really strict tournament rules where everything has to be kind of kosher and match, it's not going to, but we'll see. Now with just those basic parts popped out, we'll get to the turret a little bit. I want to, I'm toying with the idea if I want to reverse the whole Russ and make the rear the front and the front the rear. I know that I would like to reverse the treads. So I would like it to, I don't know if there's a good way to do this with the treads. Actually, that's not bad. If I remove this and I just cut that and I just mount this on here, I think I could just use some stock plastic and fill that in right there, and it will look a little like a little mini Land Raider kind of with the way that the treads are set up. We could just reverse the whole thing, and I think what I'd do is I'd want to cut this off, and it would be more conversion work this way actually, I think. So remove that engine grate there. I'd have to move the front hull weapon over there. I might put it on one side or the other. That would be easiest in terms of fitting the tracks on. And then just put all the exhaust systems and everything on there. I don't know if I want to do it that way though, because then we end up with this big flat nubby area. And I don't like that, you know, for a tank. But I know that I want to reverse the tread. So I think what I'm actually going to have to do is build the full tread up there and the full hull and just sort of figure it out which way fits best once it's all assembled and how I'm going to get that on there. I definitely want to find a way to work this out. Just not entirely sure what the best way to do that is yet. So I'm at a point now where I'm just going to let this all kind of dry and firm up and come back to work at it. I think it's coming along nicely though. I might need to just add a little strip of plastic there to give it a little extra width if I want to add that autocannon as the coaxial weapon there. Just a little bit, and I think it'll be fine. And I'm going to fill these holes anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then I'll just build a little bit to connect it out to the mantlet there, but the general idea is solid. And then I'm thinking I'm actually going to go one step further and then give it a battle cannon muzzle at the end too. I'm going to cut that off and just give it the muzzle. Back to the task at hand of how do we mess with these tracks and get them to sit the way that we want? Do we have just put them the way they're supposed to go and then mount the whole thing backwards and figure out how to make this the nose of the tank, or do we actually mount the treads backwards, which might be a way to go, although it would require filling a whole lot of space there if we were going to do that. I'm not sure right now, so I'm going to think about that for a few minutes. We'll take a little bit of a break on the video and come back. Alright, I made the decision. I'm going to just mount the treads backwards, and I'm going to leave this bottom rail there for spacing out exactly where they're going to sit in terms of height, but all this other stuff has to come off. So just like that, and then I think that's going to fit nice, it's going to look right, and then that little bit of tank sticking out of the back there is going to counterbalance the heavy look of the big gun on the front of the turret. And plus we're going to build a little bit more in the back too. I think it's going to look very nice. It's going to all work out well. I'm also going to set those sponsons on the back door rather than the front door that you usually see on the side panels. I think it's going to look pretty cool. It's going to look different is the point. So I'm going to get this all trimmed up and then figure out the best way to fill in those spaces there. I found some panels and stuff left over from a Bane blade and a couple other things, and I'm going to trim some pieces that are going to fit in there. I'm going to have to make some trims on the tank itself, but I'm just going to use what I have kind of lying around to fill this space. And, you know, things with a little bit of texture and a little bit of character, and it'll look a little asymmetric too, which might help make it, give it a realistic appearance. Right now, I want to build up the tracks and just have them all set up though and done, and then we can really start to see what this is gonna kind of take on the shape of. I noticed as we were going with the tracks, we've got all this stuff that looks just kind of ugly and unfinished. I'm going to have to come up with something for that. And just putting the plow on there might be a great way to hide all that. And, you know, the plow actually, I guess, looks okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it, you know, being that close to the tracks and all. But plenty of time to work on that. Definitely the same but different, looks-wise. And I like that a lot. So I'm going to work on the sponsons now. I decided I'm not going to magnetize anything on this either, because I'm probably not actually going to play this in a game. It's going to be more of a to look at and say, wow, that's interesting, you know, conversation starter. What the hell is that? Rather than an actual play piece. So we've discovered one small problem here. So we've got a little bit of that round hatch sticking out, so we're just going to have to shave that down a little bit. And then this will fit just fine. So I'll just kind of mark that with my knife. That's a really small part of the hatch. Just carve that out. We can always fill it with putty or something if we need to later. We'll see what it looks like. And that fits like regular. I'm not a big fan of this glue. I think if you've seen a lot of my other videos, I've used this before. It's not my favorite. I usually use the, oh man, I can't remember off the top of my head right now. It's a little glass tube. It's got a little needle on it. Use capillary action. It's very precise. And this is not so precise. It's working well enough, but it's a lot sloppier application than I prefer. But my favorite glue is 10X7R, which they don't make anymore for a reason which I never got a straight answer. I don't know. That was my favorite glue to use for plastic. Let's finish up the standard battle-mounted cannon and everything now while we're at it. While I'm working on the hull there, I decided I like the way that Space Marine vehicles have their exhausts on the sides, and I was thinking about doing that. I don't know if it's really going to work out. I don't know if there's anywhere to position it. It's just, I think it's so boring with exhaust on the back every single time. There's really nowhere good to put it, except right where they always put it. I suppose we could put it kind of there. It would fit. It would be a little bit different. We could put it right there. No, that's going to interfere with the turret. I'd really like to shave some of those rivets and put it on the side. And what I wanted to do was double stack it, 2 on each side. I don't know if that's possible, but I think we could get away with something like that. And I think I might do that. And then we just give us an open playground, so, kind of to work back there. So I think I'm going to do that. Alright, so not only do these exhausts give us a different look, which is the plan, but they give us room for this giant massive fuel drum to mount in the back, and also more room for different kind of mountings of various things, different spare parts and everything, to really make this stand out and make it a very different vehicle from anything else that we've seen. I always loved these track guards too on any vehicle, so I want to try to incorporate them into here, and even though it's not designed for this, I want to find a way to make it go down basically the entirety of the front and the rear upper side of the track. So that's going to take some doing, but I'm sure we can figure out a way to make it work. It's just going to be a little more creativity, that's all. So I'm going to work on that for a second and figure out how we're going to work that out. Because I'm going to have to sacrifice some of these little guys to make these big guys fit. I'm going to have to cut off this collar piece right here and connect it onto there, which means, measuring the angle and matching that. But, once again, we do what we got to do to make these things happen. Make them cool. Make them what we imagine them to be. So a little bit of surgery, cutting that off, a little bit of surgery, cutting a little bit off the angle there, and we'll just put those together, and we will have one coherent track guard that goes down right about where I want it to end. A little bit of sanding to make it flush and even, but it does the job. So let's return to the turret and give a little more attention to that turret right now. I have 1,000 different thoughts going through my head at any one minute about what I want to do with this thing. Definitely don't want to make a gun that long, because that's ridiculous. I think what I need to do is I want to fill in all these holes, because these holes are going to be filled in. Just for using perfect plastic putty. My tools are still disorganized and all over the place, so I don't know where my little putty spatula is, so I'll just use my knife. I think I found the perfect piece to make that little extension on the side of the gun barrel. So it's a shell from what I cannot remember. I think it came with the Bane blade maybe, but if I cut it down and I put it right there, that's perfect. It looks like it might belong there. It's not too obtrusive, but it gives me just enough, and it's kind of aerodynamic shaped to go along with it. I think it's going to work great. So I'm just going to do a little trimming. Start sanding this to get it ready, get it cut up and mounted. Actually, I think I want to use this one because I like that little metal band around this Vanquisher cannon. So, even though I already destroyed that battle cannon, I'm going to do it again. I think that's about even. I think it's mostly straight. It's just really hard to tell right now. Mounted on the tank itself. And that looks fairly straight. And what a cool looking gun too. Not too ungainly long, but definitely bigger than the standard gun on a Leman Russ. Bigger than a Vanquisher anyway. Not the longest gun I put on a Russ, but bigger. And it's going to look really cool when we have that coax autocannon fitted right about there next to it. Well, it's definitely going to need a little filling and sanding. I might even put some green stuff around it just to help. I can't tell what's off a little bit because there's so much going on there. Something's a little bit off. I don't know what. I don't know where. Something is off, but I think that looks pretty good. The coax mounted. I think it's looking cool. I think it's looking pretty good. Still lots of work to do, but I'm going to call it a night right now and take a little bit of a break and just kind of stare at some pieces and think about this some more and see where we're going to go. You know, lots more work to go. Lots more work to go. But I want to play it in a game just because I want to see people's reactions when I throw it on the table. But, you know, I think I'm just going to keep... I'm just going to keep it for myself and just, I don't know, but we'll see. So anyway, I got a lot more to do, so who knows what my next video will be and what project I'll actually be working on. Probably this one. But, you know, I got 3 things in progress now. The Toroxes, the Stormblade, and this Franken tank. Man, I love doing just conversions and coming up with my own stuff, best of all. I think this one just looks so cool. For some reason, it really reminds me of a Stormtrooper. I couldn't tell you why, but it does. So anyway, I hope you guys will join me for the next part, and I'll see you then.